Earth stayed quiet, until the Galaxy Council's taunts went too far, Doctor. Sarah Chen looked up at the night sky from the hidden observatory deep in the Australian outback. The stars looked peaceful, but she knew better. For the past 200 years, humanity had been listening to the galaxy's conversations. They knew they were not alone. They knew about the Galactic Council, and they knew what the aliens thought of Earth. The Arecibo radio telescope had been just the beginning. Now buried facilities across the planet intercepted quantum communications, gravitational wave messages, and exotic particle transmissions that the galaxy used to talk. The aliens had no idea that the primitive humans could detect their advanced communication methods. Sarah walked down the metal stairs into the underground facility. Screens covered every wall, showing alien text, star maps, and decoded messages. Her team of linguists, scientists, and military advisors worked around the clock. They had been doing this for decades. Any new transmissions today? Sarah asked her deputy, Dr. Marcus Webb. Marcus pointed to a large screen showing alien symbols. The usual mockery from the Galactic Council. They had another broadcast yesterday about the mud dwellers of Sol 3. That's us, by the way. Sarah nodded. She had heard it all before. The aliens called humans many names. Mud dwellers, dirt scratchers, primitive apes. They thought Earth was a backwater planet full of stupid creatures who would probably blow themselves up before they ever left their solar system. The Galactic Council ruled over 3,000 star systems. They were made up of 12 major alien species and hundreds of smaller ones. They had faster-than-light travel, energy weapons, and technology that seemed like magic. But they had one major flaw. They were incredibly arrogant. What did they say this time? Sarah asked. Marcus pulled up the translation. Admiral Zexathera was giving a speech to the council. He said, and I quote, "The humans of Sol 3 continue their amusing attempts at space travel. Their rockets are so primitive they still use chemical combustion. At this rate, they will reach their own moon in another 1,000 years if they don't extinct themselves first." Sarah almost smiled. The aliens had no idea that humans had been to the moon over a century ago. They also didn't know about the secret moon bases, the Mars colonies, or the hidden observation posts throughout the solar system. Humanity had been very careful to keep their real activities secret. The policy of silence had been hard to maintain. When the first alien transmissions were decoded in 2157, world governments wanted to make contact immediately, but wiser heads had prevailed. General Elizabeth Reynolds, the first director of the Global Defense Initiative, had convinced world leaders to wait and watch instead. "We need to understand them before they understand us," Reynolds had said. "Knowledge is power, and right now they know nothing about our real capabilities." For 2 centuries, humanity had followed this policy. They listened, learned, and prepared. They reverse-engineered alien technology from the detailed technical discussions they intercepted. They built weapons, ships, and defenses that the aliens couldn't imagine, and they stayed hidden. The underground facility where Sarah worked was one of 50 around the world. Each one monitored different parts of the galaxy. They tracked alien ship movements, decoded their languages, and studied their technology. The aliens were very careless with their communications. They never encrypted anything because they believed no primitive species could possibly intercept their messages. "Show me the council meeting from last week," Sarah said. Marcus brought up a recording. The alien voices had been translated into English by advanced computer programs. Sarah watched as dozens of alien representatives sat in a massive chamber orbiting the star Rigel. The chamber itself was beautiful, made of some kind of crystal that glowed with soft light. Admiral Zexathera stood at the center. He was a Korthak, a species that looked like a cross between a lizard and an insect. His skin was covered in green scales and his eyes were large and multifaceted. When he spoke, his voice was harsh and grating. "My fellow council members," Zexathera said, "I have been monitoring the primitive species of Sol 3 for entertainment purposes. These humans continue to amuse me with their basic attempts at civilization. They still fight wars with chemical explosives. They still burn fossil fuels for energy. They are exactly what we predicted a Type 0 civilization would look like." Other aliens in the chamber made sounds that the computers translated as laughter. A slug-like creature from the Benatar system spoke up. "How long do you estimate before they destroy themselves, Admiral?" "Based on their current trajectory, I give them another 50 years, Zexathera replied. "They are already poisoning their own planet and fighting over basic resources. It's a classic pattern we've seen 100 times before." Sarah felt anger building in her chest, but she kept it controlled. This was exactly why humanity needed to stay hidden. The aliens saw them as nothing more than entertainment. They were watching Earth like humans might watch an ant colony. The recording continued. Another alien, this one looking like a walking plant, asked about Earth's technology level. Zexathara laughed again. They have barely mastered nuclear fission, he said. Their computers are still based on silicon semiconductors. They haven't even discovered quantum processing or dimensional engineering. I doubt they could detect our communications even if we broadcast directly at their planet. If only they knew, Sarah thought. Human quantum computers were already more advanced than anything the aliens used. The Dimensional Engineering Department had been working on space folding technology for 50 years, and nuclear fusion had been powering human cities since 2089. The alien meeting continued with more jokes and insults about human intelligence. They talked about humans like they were animals in a zoo. Some aliens suggested setting up observation posts in the solar system to study human behavior more closely. Others wanted to take human specimens for their alien museums. The funniest part, Zexthera said, is that they actually think they might find intelligent life in the universe someday. They point their primitive radio telescopes at the stars and listen for signals. It never occurs to them that any truly advanced species would have moved beyond such basic communication methods centuries ago. The irony was not lost on Sarah. Humans had indeed moved beyond radio telescopes. They were using the aliens' own advanced communication methods against them. The aliens were so confident in their superiority that they never considered the possibility that a primitive species might be listening. Dr. Webb pulled up another screen showing military reports. The Defense Department wants to know if we've detected any alien ship movements toward our solar system. Sarah checked the data. Nothing yet. They're still treating us like we're completely harmless. Admiral Zexathara has been giving the same speech about primitive humans for 20 years. As far as they know, we're still struggling to put satellites into orbit. The hidden truth was very different. Humanity had built a fleet of advanced starships using technology learned from alien communications. These ships were hidden in the asteroid belt behind the moon and in the outer reaches of the solar system. They used stealth technology that made them invisible to alien sensors. Humanity also had weapons. Lots of weapons, energy cannons, quantum torpedoes, and defensive systems that could protect Earth from any alien attack. The Global Defense Initiative had been preparing for this day for 2 centuries, but they still waited. The policy was clear. Observe, learn, and prepare. Only reveal themselves when absolutely necessary. Sarah looked back at the night sky through the observatory's main telescope. Somewhere out there, aliens were laughing at humanity's supposed ignorance. They had no idea that their every word was being recorded and analyzed. They didn't know that their technology was being copied and improved upon, and they certainly didn't know that the primitive apes of Earth were already far more advanced than the galaxy's ruling council. The aliens thought Earth was quiet because humans were too stupid to join the galactic conversation. They were about to learn that Earth was quiet for a very different reason. Humanity had been listening, learning, and waiting for the right moment to speak. That moment was coming soon. Earth stayed quiet until the Galaxy Council's taunts went too far. The emergency alarm echoed through the underground facility at 3:47 a.m. Dr. Sarah Chen rushed from her quarters to the main control room, still putting on her uniform jacket. The night shift was gathered around the primary communication console, their faces lit by the glow of incoming signals. "What do we have?" Sarah asked as she reached the central station. Dr. Marcus Webb looked up from his workstation, his expression grave. "Direct transmission to Earth. High-powered multi-frequency broadcast aimed specifically at our planet. This isn't routine monitoring traffic, Sarah. They're talking to us." Sarah felt her stomach drop. After 2 centuries of secret observation, the Galactic Council was finally making contact. "When did it start?" 17 minutes ago. "The signal is being broadcast on every frequency we use for space communication. Radio, microwave, even some of our classified quantum channels. They want to make sure we receive it." "Have you decoded it yet?" Marcus nodded and pulled up the translation on the main screen. "You're not going to like this." The text appeared in simple English, clearly translated by alien computers that had been studying human languages. Sarah read the first few lines and felt anger building in her chest. "Greetings to the developing species of the third planet of Sol. We are the Galactic Council, the governing body of civilized worlds in this galaxy. We have been observing your primitive world for some time and have decided to offer you a special opportunity. Sarah continued reading, her anger growing with each sentence. The message was written like someone talking to a small child or a pet. Every word dripped with condescension and mockery. Your species has shown remarkable persistence despite your obvious limitations. We understand that your brains are quite small compared to truly intelligent species, but you have managed to create some amusing technologies. Your chemical rockets and basic computers show that you might, with proper guidance, eventually develop into something resembling civilization. Dr. Webb pulled up more data. Sarah, this isn't just being sent to Earth. They're broadcasting this conversation across the entire galaxy. Every alien species is watching this. Sarah realized what was happening. This wasn't real diplomacy. This was entertainment. The Galactic Council was making contact with Earth as a public spectacle for other aliens to enjoy. The message continued. We are pleased to offer your species junior membership in the Galactic Council. This special status is reserved for developing worlds that show potential but are not yet ready for full civilization. As junior members, you would be protected from the dangers of the galaxy, while you slowly learn to improve yourselves. Sarah called up her senior staff. Within minutes, the facility's top linguists, military advisors, and scientists were gathered around the main screen. They watched as more text appeared. Your planet would become a protected nature preserve where your species can develop naturally. We would establish research stations in your solar system to study your progress and provide guidance when necessary. Think of us as helpful teachers watching over promising but slow students. General Patricia Hayes, the current director of the Global Defense Initiative, spoke through the secure communication link from the Pentagon. Sarah, are you seeing this? They're not offering us membership. They're offering to turn us into a zoo. Sarah nodded. It gets worse, General. The alien message continued with details about their generous offer. Earth would be declared a developing world nature preserve. Humans would be allowed to continue their primitive lifestyle under alien supervision. No other alien species would be permitted to interfere with human development, except for approved researchers and observers. We understand that your species enjoys tribal conflicts and resource competition. The message read, these behaviors will be preserved as part of your natural habitat. However, any technology that might pose a danger to galactic peace will be removed for your own protection. Dr. Elena Vasquez, the facility's chief xenobiologist, looked disgusted. They're talking about us like we're animals in a wildlife preserve. The message included specific restrictions. Humans would not be allowed to develop faster than light travel. Any nuclear weapons would be confiscated. Human space exploration would be limited to their own solar system, and only under alien supervision. But the worst part was still coming. The message shifted to what the aliens clearly thought was humor. We know this offer might be difficult for your primitive minds to understand, the text continued. Many developing species initially resist our guidance because they don't realize how much they need our help. This is normal behavior for creatures with underdeveloped intelligence. Sarah watched as her team's expressions changed from anger to fury. 2 centuries of preparation and planning were being dismissed as the struggles of stupid animals. The transmission included a video component. Alien faces appeared on the screen, and Sarah recognized Admiral Zexathera from the intercepted council meetings. His scaly face filled the screen as he spoke directly to humanity. People of Earth, Zexathera said in heavily accented English, I am Admiral Zexathera of the Galactic Council Defense Fleet. I will be personally overseeing your species' integration into galactic society. I want you to know that we understand how frightening this must be for creatures of your limited mental capacity. Other aliens appeared on screen, each more condescending than the last. A slug-like Benatar official explained how they would help humans learn to use tools more effectively. Crystalline being from the Vega system offered to teach humans basic mathematics and simple engineering, but the most insulting moment came when Admiral Zexathera returned to the screen with what was clearly meant to be a friendly smile. His razor-sharp teeth made the expression terrifying rather than reassuring. I know some of your braver individuals might worry about losing your independence, he said, but you must understand that true independence requires intelligence and capability that your species simply doesn't possess. You are like children who think they can take care of themselves but actually need constant supervision. The alien continued. We have studied your history and behavior patterns. Your species is naturally violent and destructive. Left alone, you will certainly destroy yourselves within the next century. Our protection is not just a gift, it's a necessity for your survival. Dr. Webb pulled up real-time monitoring data from alien communication networks across the galaxy. Sarah, you need to see this. The Council is broadcasting our response delay as part of the entertainment. They're taking bets on how long it will take us to understand their message. On screen, Sarah could see alien gambling networks showing odds on human reactions. Some aliens were betting that humans would be too stupid to respond at all. Others wagered that humans would try to attack the messenger signal with nuclear weapons. A few thought humans might simply worship the aliens as gods. Admiral Zexithara appeared again, this time surrounded by other council members in their crystal chamber. We will give your species exactly 1 Earth rotation period to discuss our generous offer. We understand that it may take time for your primitive communication systems to spread this message to your various tribal leaders. Sarah almost laughed at that comment. The message had been received simultaneously by every government on Earth through quantum communication networks that could transmit information instantly across the planet. But the aliens assumed humans were still using smoke signals and drums. After 1 day, Zexithara continued, we will return for your answer. I strongly recommend acceptance. The alternative is to remain isolated and primitive until your inevitable self-destruction. No other advanced species will offer you such generous protection. The transmission included detailed technical specifications for human response protocols. The aliens wanted Earth to transmit their answer using basic radio signals because they assumed that was the most advanced communication technology humans possessed. As the message ended, Sarah looked around at her team. 2 centuries of secret preparation had led to this moment. The aliens had finally revealed their true attitude toward humanity. They saw Earth as a planet full of dangerous animals that needed to be contained and controlled. General Hayes's voice came through the communication system again. Sarah, I need immediate recommendations. Do we maintain the policy of secrecy or do we respond? Sarah thought about everything they had learned over the past 200 years. The alien technology, their weaknesses, their arrogance. She thought about the hidden human fleets waiting in the asteroid belt and the advanced weapon systems protecting Earth. General, Sarah said slowly, I think it's time to break our silence, but not the way they expect. The room fell quiet as everyone understood the implications. The age of hiding was about to end. Earth was finally going to speak to the galaxy. But first, they needed to decide exactly what humanity wanted to say to their self-appointed superior alien overlords. Outside, the stars continued to shine peacefully in the night sky. But Sarah knew that peace was about to end. The Galactic Council had made their position clear. Now it was time for Earth to reveal what they really thought about the aliens' generous offer. Earth stayed quiet. Until the Galaxy Council's taunts went too far, 3 days had passed since the Galactic Council's generous offer, and humanity had not responded. The aliens interpreted this silence exactly as expected. They assumed humans were too primitive to understand the message or too frightened to reply. Dr. Sarah, Chen stood in the emergency session of the Global Defense Council, held in the secure bunker beneath Geneva. World leaders, military commanders, and scientists from every continent were present either in person or through quantum-encrypted video links. For the first time in human history, the planet's leadership was united in facing an external threat. President Maria Santos of the Americas Federation spoke first. The alien transmissions have continued for 72 hours. They're not just communicating with us anymore. They're actively mocking our silence to the entire galaxy. General Patricia Hayes activated the main display, showing intercepted alien communications from the past 3 days. The Council is treating our non-response as confirmation of human stupidity. Admiral Zexithara has been broadcasting what he calls educational content about primitive species behavior. Sarah watched as alien text scrolled across the screen. The translations were becoming more insulting by the hour. Day 3 of contact with Sol 3 primitives, read one message from Admiral Zexithara. As predicted, the creatures appear unable to comprehend our communication. This is typical behavior for species with underdeveloped neural structures. They may require several weeks to process information that an intelligent being would understand instantly. But that wasn't the worst part. General Hayes pulled up video feeds from alien observation ships that had entered the solar system during the past 72 hours. Sarah felt her blood run cold as she saw massive alien vessels positioning themselves around Jupiter. "They're not waiting for our response," General Hayes said. "They're already beginning construction of what they call a primitive species research station." The video showed dozens of alien construction ships building an enormous facility in Jupiter's orbit. The station was the size of a small moon, with gleaming metal surfaces and energy fields that glowed with blue light. It was clearly designed to be permanent. Prime Minister Chen Wei of the Asian Alliance leaned forward in his chair. "What exactly are they planning to do with this station?" Dr. Elena Vasquez, the xenobiologist, answered with barely controlled anger in her voice. "Based on their communications, they intend to study human breeding patterns, territorial behaviors, and primitive social structures. They're treating us like animals in an experiment." The room fell silent as everyone absorbed this information. President Santos was the first to speak. "Are they planning to abduct humans for their research?" Sarah pulled up more intercepted communications. According to their internal messages, they plan to take what they call representative specimens from different human populations. They want to study our genetic diversity and behavioral variations. General Hayes showed more video feeds from the construction site. The station includes what their documents describe as specimen-holding facilities and behavioral observation chambers. They're building a laboratory to experiment on humans, but the final insult was yet to come. Dr. Marcus Webb rushed into the chamber with an urgent expression on his face. "Sarah, you need to see the latest transmission." They're broadcasting live from the construction site. The main screen switched to a real-time alien broadcast. Admiral Zexathara stood on the observation deck of the nearly completed research station, gesturing toward Earth with one of his scaled arms. "Fellow beings of the galaxy," Zexathara said in his harsh voice, "welcome to the first live broadcast from the Sol 3 Primitive Species Research Station. As you can see, we have an excellent view of the primitive world and its developing creatures." The camera panned to show Earth in the distance, a small blue dot against the black of space. Sarah felt sick as she realized the aliens were broadcasting this to the entire galaxy as entertainment. "Over the coming months," Zexathara continued, "this facility will provide unprecedented insight into the behavior of truly primitive intelligent life. We will observe their mating rituals, their territorial disputes, and their amusing attempts at tool-making." The broadcast switched to show different sections of the research station. Sarah saw laboratories filled with alien scientists, holding cells clearly designed for human prisoners, and viewing chambers where aliens could watch human subjects like they were in a zoo. But the broadcast got worse. The camera showed a section labeled as educational facilities, and Sarah realized what she was seeing. The aliens were planning to bring their children to the station on school trips to observe humans. "The Sol 3 research station will serve as an excellent educational resource," Zexathara explained. "Young beings from across the galaxy will be able to observe primitive intelligence in its natural state. They will learn how civilized species evolved from such basic beginnings." The video showed alien classrooms being prepared with viewing windows that looked down at human holding areas. Teachers were setting up presentations about primitive species development and the dangers of unchecked evolution. Admiral Zexathara smiled his terrifying smile directly at the camera. "We expect the humans to provide excellent entertainment for visitors. Their emotional responses to captivity should be quite amusing for children to observe." President Santos stood up abruptly, her face pale with rage. "They're planning to display humans like circus animals for alien children to laugh at." The broadcast continued with Zexathara giving a tour of the research facilities. He showed off advanced monitoring equipment that could observe human settlements from orbit, weapon systems designed to capture humans without killing them, and communication arrays that would let aliens across the galaxy watch human specimens in real time. "The primitives of Sol 3 represent a unique opportunity," Zexathara explained to his galactic audience. "Most species this undeveloped destroy themselves before reaching even basic space travel. These humans have managed to survive despite their obvious mental limitations. They will serve as perfect examples of how not to develop civilization." The alien admiral paused at a large viewing window that showed Earth in the distance. "Of course, we cannot allow them to develop much further. Their violent tendencies and primitive thinking make them dangerous if left unchecked. This station will ensure they remain safely contained while providing educational value to the galaxy. Sarah watched as aliens throughout the galaxy sent messages of approval and amusement. They were excited about the entertainment possibilities. Some were already making reservations to bring their families to observe the primitive humans. But Admiral Zexathara wasn't finished. He moved to a section of the station labeled Specimen Acquisition Center and gestured to maps showing major human population centers. We plan to collect approximately 1,000 human specimens representing different genetic populations and cultural behaviors, he announced. These subjects will be housed in comfortable but secure facilities where they can be observed and studied safely. The map showed targeted areas: New York, London, Tokyo, Mumbai, São Paulo, Lagos, and dozens of other major cities. The aliens had been planning this for months, studying human population centers and identifying the best locations for mass abductions. The specimens will be well cared for. Zexathara continued with mock concern. We understand that primitive creatures require specific environmental conditions to remain healthy. We have recreated Earth-like habitats where they can continue their basic behaviors while under observation. Sarah saw holding areas designed to look like human cities, but clearly built as cages. The aliens had studied human architecture and culture enough to create convincing replicas, but every detail was designed for observation and control. The final insult came when Admiral Zexathara addressed Earth directly through the broadcast. He looked straight at the camera and spoke in his broken English. "Humans of Sol 3, he said, "you have had sufficient time to consider our generous offer. Your silence confirms what we already knew. You lack the intelligence to make complex decisions. Therefore, we will make the decision for you. Tomorrow we begin specimen collection. Do not resist. Resistance will only cause unnecessary suffering." The broadcast ended with promotional material for Sol 3 educational tours and ticket information for aliens wanting to visit the research station. The entire galaxy was being invited to come watch humans like they were animals in a zoo. The chamber fell completely silent. Every person present understood that humanity had reached a turning point. The aliens weren't offering protection or guidance. They were planning to enslave the human race for entertainment. President Santos broke the silence first. "General Hayes, what are our options?" General Hayes looked around the room at faces filled with anger and determination. "We have two choices. We can reveal our true capabilities and defend ourselves, or we can allow the galaxy to discover what happens when you threaten humanity." Sarah thought about the hidden fleets waiting in the asteroid belt, the advanced weapons systems protecting Earth, and the 2 centuries of preparation that had led to this moment. She thought about Admiral Zexathara's mocking smile and his plans to put humans in cages for alien children to laugh at. Earth stayed quiet until the Galaxy Council's taunts went too far. Admiral Zexathara stood on the command bridge of his flagship, watching the blue planet Earth through the massive viewing screen. Around him, the Galactic Council's specimen collection fleet prepared for what they expected to be the easiest military operation in galactic history. "Begin the collection operation," Zexathara ordered. "Remember, we need the specimens alive and undamaged. Use minimum force necessary to subdue the primitives." 50 alien warships moved toward Earth in perfect formation. Each ship carried advanced capture technology designed to stun and transport humans without killing them. The aliens had studied human cities for months, identifying the best locations to collect diverse specimens for their research station. Dr. Sarah Chen watched the approaching fleet from the Global Defense Command bunker beneath Geneva. Around her, technicians monitored screens showing the hidden human defenses throughout the solar system. For 2 centuries, humanity had been preparing for this moment. "All defensive positions report ready," announced Commander Torres from the tactical station. "The alien fleet is maintaining standard approach vectors. They have no idea we can see them coming." General Patricia Hayes stood at the main command console, her finger hovering over the activation switch for Earth's defensive systems. "Sarah, confirm we have clear readings on all alien vessels." Sarah checked her sensors one final time. The alien ships were using basic stealth technology that would be invisible to the primitive radar systems they thought humans possessed. But human quantum sensors could see every bolt and rivet on the alien hulls. "Confirmed, General. 51 vessels total. 1 command ship, 20 heavy cruisers, and 30 smaller capture ships. They're armed with energy weapons and mass stun devices. President Santos spoke through the communication system from her secure location. General Hayes, you are authorized to defend Earth by any means necessary. Show them what humanity is really capable of. General Hayes pressed the activation switch. All defensive systems active. All stealth fields down. Let's introduce ourselves properly. Across the solar system, human technology that had been hidden for 2 centuries suddenly became visible. Massive defense platforms uncloaked near Earth's moon. Battleships emerged from the asteroid belt where they had been waiting in complete silence. Fighter squadrons launched from hidden bases on Mars. Admiral Zexithara stared at his sensor screens in shock as hundreds of human vessels appeared around his fleet. The primitive species that wasn't supposed to have space travel had somehow built a navy that outnumbered his forces 10-1. This is impossible, Zexithara hissed to his communications officer. Our intelligence report showed they barely achieved chemical rockets. Where did these ships come from? The answer came as a transmission on frequencies the aliens didn't think humans could access. Admiral Sarah Chen's face appeared on every alien screen in the fleet. She wore the uniform of the Earth Defense Forces, with ranks and insignia the aliens had never seen before. Admiral Zexithara, Sarah said in perfect galactic standard, speaking the alien language flawlessly. I am Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Forces. You are trespassing in human territory with hostile intent. You have 30 seconds to withdraw your forces. Zexithara's jaw dropped open. The primitive human was speaking galactic standard better than most alien diplomats. But that wasn't possible. His scientists had confirmed that humans didn't even know other languages existed. Human, Zexithara replied, struggling to regain his composure. You cannot possibly understand the situation. We are the Galactic Council. We have technology beyond your primitive comprehension. Surrender immediately and submit to specimen collection. Admiral Chen smiled coldly. Admiral, we've been listening to your communications for 200 years. We know exactly who you are, what technology you have, and what you plan to do to my species. We also know your weaknesses. On Zexithara's tactical display, human ships were moving into attack positions with precision that shouldn't have been possible. Their formations were perfect, their coordination flawless. These weren't the clumsy movements of primitive creatures learning to fly in space. You've been listening? Zexithara asked. That's impossible. Our communications use quantum encryption and dimensional folding. No primitive species could possibly intercept them, Admiral Chen finished. Admiral, let me show you what 2 centuries of preparation looks like when you underestimate the wrong species. The human ships opened fire. But these weren't the chemical rockets or nuclear weapons the aliens expected. Beams of pure energy, more advanced than anything in the Galactic Council's arsenal, struck the alien vessels. Quantum torpedoes that could phase through alien shields detonated against their hulls. Weapons that folded space itself crushed alien ships like tin cans. Admiral Zexithara watched in horror as his advanced warships were torn apart by technology he didn't recognize. The humans weren't just winning. They were demonstrating complete technological superiority. Impossible, he screamed. Our intelligence said they were primitives. They were supposed to be barely capable of basic tool use. Admiral Chen's image remained calm on his screen. Your intelligence was exactly what we wanted you to see, Admiral. While you were laughing at our supposed primitive radio signals, we were intercepting your quantum communications. While you mocked our chemical rockets, we were reverse engineering your faster-than-light drives. While you planned to put us in cages, we were building the most advanced military force in the galaxy. Zexithara tried to order his ships to retreat, but found that human vessels had surrounded his entire fleet. Escape was impossible. Worse, the humans were broadcasting this battle across the galaxy, on the same frequencies the aliens used for entertainment. Every alien species that had been planning to visit the research station and laugh at captured humans was now watching. Their mighty fleet being destroyed by the supposedly primitive Earth forces. You were studying us, Admiral Chen continued. But we were studying you. 200 years of analyzing your technology, your tactics, and your weaknesses. Did you really think a species could survive on a planet full of predators by being stupid? The alien research station near Jupiter suddenly found itself surrounded by massive human battleships. The station's weapons were useless. Against human shields that could deflect energy in ways the aliens had never imagined, Dr. Elena Vasquez spoke to the research station's commander from the bridge of her science vessel. Attention Galactic Council Research Station. This is Dr. Elena Vasquez of the Earth Science Fleet. You have constructed an illegal facility in human territory for the purpose of kidnapping and experimenting on human beings. You will surrender immediately. The station commander, a slug-like Benatar official, sputtered in shock. You cannot make demands of the Galactic Council. We are the supreme authority in this galaxy. Not anymore, Dr. Vasquez replied. Your supreme authority just lost a war to the species you considered too primitive to detect your communications. Human engineering teams boarded the research station using technology that could phase them through the station's walls. The aliens found themselves facing humans in advanced combat suits that made them immune to alien weapons. But the humans didn't kill anyone. Instead, they efficiently dismantled every piece of equipment designed to hold or harm human prisoners. The specimen holding areas were destroyed. The viewing chambers where alien children were supposed to watch captive humans were turned into scrap metal. Admiral Sexathara watched his flagship systems failing. Around him as human technology disabled his ship without destroying it. The bridge filled with smoke and the lights flickered, but he was still alive. Admiral Chen appeared on his screen one final time. Admiral Sexathara, your fleet is disabled and your research station is dismantled. Your crews are alive because humanity chooses mercy over revenge, but your invasion of our system ends now. This cannot be happening, Sexathara whispered. We are the dominant species in the galaxy. We have ruled for 10,000 years. You ruled because nobody challenged you, Admiral Chen replied. You became lazy, arrogant, and stupid. You forgot that intelligence isn't about technology. It's about learning, adapting, and growing. Humanity has been doing all three while you laughed at us. Across the galaxy, alien civilizations watched in stunned silence as the human fleet efficiently captured or destroyed every ship in the Council's invasion force. The species they had considered barely intelligent, animals had just demonstrated military technology that surpassed anything the galaxy had ever seen. The broadcast concluded with Admiral Chen addressing the entire galaxy in perfect galactic standard. People of the galaxy, this is Earth's first official communication. For 2 centuries we have watched and listened while you mocked our species and planned our enslavement. We stayed quiet not because we were weak but because we were learning. She paused, looking directly into the camera with the confidence of someone who had just won an impossible victory. The Galactic Council's age of dominance is over. Humanity offers friendship and cooperation to any species that approaches us with respect. But to those who mistake our patience for weakness, Admiral Chen gestured to the wreckage of Sexathara's fleet floating in space around her ships. Class is in session. Earth stayed quiet until the Galaxy Council's taunts went too far. 6 months after the Battle of Sol, the Galactic Council chambers had never been so quiet. Representatives from 3,000 star systems sat in stunned silence as Admiral Sarah Chen walked through the center of the crystal chamber that had once been the symbol of alien supremacy. She wore the dress, uniform of the Earth Diplomatic Corps, an organization that hadn't existed a year ago, but now commanded more respect than any government in galactic history. Her footsteps echoed in the massive chamber as she approached the central speaking platform. Admiral Sexathara sat in what had once been the position of honor for the Council's military commander. His scales had lost their bright green color and turned a dull gray. His multiple eyes tracked Admiral Chen's movement with a mixture of fear and fascination. Honored representatives, Admiral Chen began, speaking in galactic standard without any trace of accent. 6 months ago, your council made a decision to enslave my species for entertainment purposes. Today we gather to discuss the new reality that decision has created. The chamber remained silent. Every alien present had watched the Battle of Sol broadcast live across the galaxy. They had seen the mighty council fleet reduced to scrap metal by the supposedly primitive humans. More importantly, they had seen the technology humanity possessed. In the months since the battle, human ships had appeared throughout the galaxy. Not as conquerors, but as explorers and diplomats. They carried medical supplies for plague-stricken worlds that the Council had ignored. They offered engineering solutions for species struggling with environmental collapse. They brought food to star systems suffering from famine. Everywhere they went, humans demonstrated technology that was centuries ahead of anything the galaxy had seen. Faster than light drives that could cross the galaxy in days instead of months. Medical equipment that could cure diseases the aliens considered incurable. Energy systems that could power entire planets without pollution. The question before us today, Admiral Chen continued, is not whether humanity will play a role in galactic affairs. That question was answered when you threatened our world. The question is what kind of role we will play. She gestured to the viewing screens around the chamber, which showed human activities across the galaxy. Ships distributing supplies, doctors treating alien patients, engineers helping to rebuild damaged infrastructure. For 200 years, my species studied your civilizations. We learned your languages, your cultures, your technologies, and your history. We saw great achievements, but we also saw great suffering that could have been prevented. President Maria Santos entered the chamber through the main doors, followed by a delegation of human diplomats and scientists. The aliens had never seen so many humans in one place. Most had believed that Earth's population was small and scattered. The Galactic Council has ruled for 10,000 years, President Santos said as she joined Admiral Chen at the speaking platform. In that time you have achieved stability and prevented major wars. But you have also allowed countless species to suffer and die from problems you could have solved. She activated a holographic display showing galactic statistics, disease rates, poverty levels, technological stagnation, and environmental collapse across hundreds of worlds. Your council operates on a philosophy of minimal interference, President Santos continued. You believe that advanced species should develop on their own or perish in the attempt. This philosophy has condemned billions of intelligent beings to unnecessary suffering. Admiral Zexthara finally found his voice. Human President, he said carefully, the Council's policies have maintained galactic peace for millennia. Excessive interference leads to dependence and weakness. Admiral Chen smiled. Admiral Zexthara, you maintained peace by being the strongest force in the galaxy. But strength without wisdom is just tyranny, and wisdom without compassion is just cruelty. Dr. Elena Vasquez stepped forward carrying a data tablet filled with humanity's proposals for galactic reform. We've spent the past 6 months analyzing every major problem in the galaxy. Plague outbreaks, resource shortages, technological stagnation, environmental collapse. All of these issues can be solved with technology and knowledge that already exists. She handed the tablet to the Council's chief scientist, a crystalline being from the Vega system who had once mocked human intelligence. The alien's crystalline structure flickered with light as it processed the information. These solutions, the Vegan scientist said slowly, the mathematical models are beyond our current understanding. How did your species develop such advanced knowledge? Dr. Vasquez smiled. We learned it from you. Every technical discussion you broadcast, every scientific paper you shared, every engineering specification you transmitted. We absorbed it all, improved upon it, and found solutions you never considered. The truth was even more impressive than the aliens realized. Humanity hadn't just copied alien technology. They had perfected it. Human scientists had taken the combined knowledge of 3,000 civilizations and created something entirely new. The question now, Admiral Chen said, addressing the entire chamber, is whether the galaxy wants to join us in building a better future, or whether you prefer the old system of managed decline and acceptable suffering. She gestured to another display showing the results of human intervention over the past 6 months. Plague outbreaks stopped. Dying worlds restored to health. Struggling civilizations given the tools they needed to thrive. We're not asking for surrender or submission, President Santos explained. We're offering partnership. Human technology combined with alien knowledge and experience. A galaxy where every species has the opportunity to reach its full potential. The chamber buzzed with quiet conversations as alien representatives discussed this unprecedented offer. Many species had suffered under the Council's minimal interference policies. They had watched their worlds decline while the Council maintained that it was natural development, but others were suspicious. The Benatar representative, a massive slug-like creature, spoke up from his position near the back of the chamber. Humans claim to offer partnership, the Benatar said in his wet, gurgling voice, but you have demonstrated superior military technology. How do we know you won't become the new tyrants of the galaxy? Admiral Chen nodded respectfully. An excellent question, Representative. Allow me to demonstrate our intentions. She pulled out a small device and activated it. Suddenly, every human ship in the galaxy became visible on the chamber's sensors. Thousands of vessels spread across hundreds of star systems, all displaying their positions openly. Every human military vessel in the galaxy is now transmitting its location, capabilities, and mission parameters on open frequencies, Admiral Chen announced. Any species can monitor our activities at any time. We have nothing to hide. The aliens stared at the display in shock. The human fleet was massive, far larger than anything the Council had ever deployed. But instead of conquest, the ships were engaged in humanitarian missions, scientific research, and defensive patrols. Furthermore, President Santos added, humanity formally withdraws from all territorial claims beyond our solar system. We will not colonize alien worlds or establish military bases in alien territory without explicit invitation. This announcement caused an uproar in the chamber. Every galactic power maintained territorial claims and military outposts. The idea of a species voluntarily limiting its expansion was unheard of. Admiral Zexathera leaned forward in his seat. You possess the most powerful military force in galactic history, yet you claim no territory beyond your home system. This makes no sense from a strategic perspective. Admiral Chen turned to face him directly. Admiral, your entire philosophy is based on the idea that might makes right. You assumed that any species with superior technology would use it for domination, but humanity learned something different from our history. She gestured to a holographic display showing Earth's history, wars, conquests, empires rising and falling. We learned that true strength comes from cooperation, not domination. We learned that the greatest achievements come from helping others succeed, not from keeping them weak. We learned that a galaxy where everyone prospers is better than a galaxy where only the strong survive. Dr. Vasquez stepped forward with another proposal. We're offering to share our technology freely with any species that commits to using it for the benefit of their people. No payment required, no strings attached. The only requirement is that you use these gifts to help rather than harm. The chamber erupted in discussions as representatives realized what was being offered. Technology that could solve their greatest problems given freely without conquest or submission. The crystalline vegan scientist stood up slowly. Humans of Earth, it said in its musical voice. The Vega Alliance formally accepts your offer of partnership. We commit to using any shared technology for the benefit of all intelligent life. One by one, other species began to stand and accept the human offer. The Centauri Federation, the Rigel Republic, the Andromeda Coalition. Within hours, hundreds of civilizations had formally agreed to join humanity's vision of galactic cooperation. Admiral Zexathara remained seated, his gray scales reflecting his inner turmoil. Finally, he stood and faced Admiral Chen directly.